Good news. Good news. Don and Benny made him a part 2 video. And you know, the part 1 video was McDonough's questions. McDonough had 7 questions. Benny was going to ask Don. They never got to none of that. But we're in luck. Benny saved the day. Part 2, Benny decided he's going to take, just random questions in the order they come in. He's going to ask them to Don. So we're going to find out something now. Yeah, it didn't happen again. Nothing like what I signed up for when he said that's what they were going to do. Let's just say didn't go down like that. After the initial 1 minute and 56 second intro into the show, like 2 minutes. I don't know what it was all about. 2 minutes intro. Onto the viewer questions. And when he started the viewer questions, I knew we were going to get somewhere. Because he started with hard-hitting viewer questions. He didn't sort them. He just took them as they came. And the first question, because anybody that got a chance to ask Don a question was going to ask something worthwhile. And the first question, Don, how much does summer weigh? Yep. That was the question, Don. How much does summer weigh? How does Don know that? And if he does know that, how can he explain how he knows that? Second question, Don, you still going to church? Don says not as much as he'd like. Benny says, Don, you're letting them get you. That's how they get you. Benny thinks there's a conspiracy to keep Don out of church. He said, he's been watching it on TV. He just ain't got around to making it a lot. Says sometimes you don't feel like you should because of all the slack they catch. That's when Benny said it was because they was out to keep him out of church. Next question, how do you keep the faith and hope of finding summer? I didn't listen to the answer because I heard him say months and months ago that, he'd pretty much given up hope. So whatever the answer was, I didn't need to stay for that. Another viewer interjected, told Don what a great man he was. Benny once again brings up, now there's no editing in these. This is how they came in. And he shows you what looks like somebody typed. There's no avatars beside the names, none of that. It just looks like a script. Honestly, that's what it looks like. I'm not questioning the validity of it. I'll let you decide for yourselves. Don made the statement that he thought they were wide open for an abduction because of living way out in the country. That's what he said. Then he starts dropping some abduction stats that I looked into, and I don't know where he got those, but WikiLeaks ain't a good place to get your stats if that's what happened. I'm just trying to look out for you. Don't want you to get fact checked. Because the stats I heard, no. Nope. Then the weirdest thing was, out of all these cupcake questions, out of nowhere they asked if Summer slept in the bed with him. We all know the answer to that. I've all heard the answer to that. Why even put that question in the list? Nobody wants to go through that again. Don says he's had people contacting, saying that the TBI have contacted them because of that, because their cell phone pinged off that tower. I'd like to know who those people were. Wouldn't y'all? I'd be interested to know whose cell phones were pinging in the area that day. Don also said that he didn't think that technology was going to pan out because he thinks the pros know better than to have a cell phone on them. They talk about drones. They've been apparently flying drones over and scanning the area now that the foliage is gone. Don says he's all about it. Don't know why. Don said this not too long ago.
Well, I knew right away that she was abducted.
Another super chat. We love you, Don. Benny explains, tells a little story about something Don explained to him. He had seen something on YouTube and learned how something worked, and he explained it to Benny, and Benny's amazed, says Don should be an engineer. That's what Benny says. Benny is impressed with Don. You know, Benny doesn't look like no young dude. I find it strange to look up to Don as much as he does. But, hey, everybody's got to have a role model. I got in the notes, Benny displays affection to Don's backside. Comes up about Don working on the Sabbath. Don explains, try not to do it. I do everything I can not to do it. And sometimes you got to do it.
A few moments later.
Don explains, never working on the Sabbath again. Can't believe I did it. I shouldn't have done it. It's not being a commandment keeper. Chat comes through. Don, don't worry about working on the Sabbath. God knows what's in your heart. Don says he feels like someone had been watching from the woods for quite a while, scoping him out, surveilling. They talk about Jody Sue slipped up and said something on Prayer Garden, and it's been forwarded to the TBI. It's hard to believe 6 months into this, and this is what's going on, ain't it? I asked Don about the church. Anybody you suspect? Anybody you think could be a little shady? Nope. Don says no. Not A1. Couldn't be. Nobody from the church. It is not possible, Don says. I don't know if he said it wasn't possible. He said no. Never had a worry in his mind. Then they ask, Don, are you being threatened? He says occasionally he'll get a text or somehow call from a blocked number, text from a blocked number and threatening. Not like at first, though, he says. He's getting a lot of threats at first. A little bit there, something comes up about the boys, and then somebody immediately comes up in the chat. Stop talking about it. Gag order. Don't do it. You'd think he wouldn't have to be reminded about that, but then Don goes on to talk about how he couldn't believe how miserable he was after June 15th because the weather was just great. And he didn't understand how somebody could be so miserable when the weather's so nice. He actually said that. Watch it yourself if you want to. Or you can take my word for it, because I don't. Look at me. Do I seem right after watching it? I feel off. But if you want to, go ahead. Go right ahead. That's what he said. It amazes me. I feel like when I tell what actually happened, I'm fibbing because it just doesn't seem plausible, but it is. Then comes up across the screen somebody saying, hey, I got put in time out. Why is that? I'm thinking it was somebody who was not abiding by Benny's rules of peace, love, and harmony. Might have been a certain CM in the chat acting up. Wouldn't that be funny to find out that's who it was? I think it would be. I think it'd be great. Could have been. Probably not, but you never know. Then Benny goes on once again to tell all of us how we should be making YouTube videos. And since he's trying to help me out, I'm going to help him out. When you make YouTube videos, you don't need a 1:56 intro. And when you do interviews, try asking a question that makes a little bit of sense. Or something people really want to know. And don't type the whole chat log without putting any avatars beside anybody or anything like that. It looks suspicious. Hope I saved y'all some pain anyway. JDTC. Out.